Good morning, security gang, and welcome back to the CyberHub Podcast. My name is James Azar. I'm the host of the CyberHub Podcast. I'm also a Chief Information Security Officer by trade. Thank you all for tuning in this morning, February 26th, 2026. It's 2/26/26. Lots of twos and sixes in today's date. But it's only 2 6s, not 3, so the devil has not been called upon. Thank you for tuning in again. We've got a busy and packed show for all y'all. Our last show for the week. Tomorrow on Friday, we'll have our actual summary for the week. And then Saturday, our brand new article will be dropping at cyberhubpodcast.com. So go check it out. Now let's get into what we're going to be covering on this morning's show, including Google disrupting a Chinese cyber espionage campaign targeting telecom and governments, a critical Cisco SD-WAN Zeroday that's being exploited since 2023, medical device data stolen in a breach, a lawsuit tying a SonicWall backup flaw to ransomware fallout, all of that and more on today's show. So let's get into it. But before we do, if you're a first-time listener or watching us live on YouTube, Rumble, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, we have a tradition. The late Scott Adams inspired this a little bit, right? But I've got my double espresso. I'm not a big coffee guy. Like, I only enjoy espressos for coffee. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. This is Black Rifle and espresso capsules. They're okay. I'll just say that. Tried it for the first time earlier this week. Y'all asked me what I thought about it. Said it was okay. Second try, because I figured, all right, maybe first time. Will the taste grow on me? It has not. It's bitter. It's bitter. I don't think like Black Rifle has espresso beans, because to make an espresso, you need espresso beans. They're specific beans. Not every coffee bean's an espresso bean. Some coffee beans are just regular coffee beans, or, some of the stuff you get at your fusion coffee shops nowadays. But Black Rifle doesn't have good espresso. I'm sorry, Black Rifle. I tried. All right, let's get into Google announcing that it disrupted a Chinese cyber espionage campaign targeting telecom providers and government entities. The activity reportedly involved credential phishing and infrastructure compromise aimed at maintaining long-term access rather than any sort of immediate disruption. Telecoms are strategic targets that compromise gives access to metadata, lawful intercept systems, and potentially political communications. This isn't a smash and grab type of hacking campaign. This is quiet intelligence gathering that the Chinese are known for, with the risk being persistent access to telecom infrastructure that would enable long-term espionage campaigns. Telecom operators should be implementing continuous credential anomaly detection tied to privileged telecom systems, all in. This is being attributed to UNC 2814, targeting 53 organizations across 42 countries. This map in front of you shows you where they went. Look at that. Aren't China and Russia allies, or are they? Interesting, right? We see Pakistan there as well. The entire Southeast Asia, Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines. Look at all these African nations in West and East Africa, and Latin America. Almost everyone but Argentina compromised there, as well as Central America there. That seems to be Panama, if I'm not mistaken, or no, that may not be. That may be someone else there. My geography's a bit off this morning, but you can tell who they're actually targeting. The backdoor did leverage Google Sheets as a high availability C2 platform, treating the spreadsheet not as a document, but as a communication channel to facilitate the transfer of raw data and shell commands, according to Google. Disrupting the campaign allowed them to actually get more insights into the activities that the Chinese were trying to do and be able to report on it and disrupt it altogether. So well done to the team over at Google for this one. We'll move to our next story this morning, where medical device manufacturer UFP Technologies is disclosing that data was stolen during a recent cyber attack. The company, which supplies components to healthcare and medical device markets, confirmed attackers accessed internal systems and exfiltrated sensitive information. And while operational disruption appears limited, medical device ecosystems are tightly regulated and highly interconnected with hospital supply chains. The exposure of sensitive IP and even healthcare related operational data could be a significant risk for the manufacturer. What you would do in these types of situations is you would likely try to deploy some sort of DLP tool on your sensitive R&D to monitor, as well as your production repositories. Not sure if they had that in place or not, but the company, it has 4,300 employees and 600 million in revenue with a market cap of 1.86 billion. So that's the latest there as well. We'll move over to Marquis, who their breach impacted over 74 US banks. Now they filed a lawsuit against SonicWall, alleging that the breach in SonicWall's cloud backup solution enabled a ransomware attack against Marquis. The suit claims that the attackers exploited vulnerabilities in SonicWall's infrastructure, leading to data compromise and encryption events. This is significant because it's really reflecting a shift from incident response to legal accountability for vendor security failures. Now, the question is, what in the SonicWall agreement gives them the green light to do this lawsuit? Or is this kind of the Delta CrowdStrike lawsuit, where kind of the intentional issues were thrown out by the judge, yet he's allowing them to pursue the commercial terms of it? Could this be the case again? The legal precedent here is interesting. I've been following the CrowdStrike Delta suit closely because I think it's going to be a trend setter, and a lot of security companies are watching that one as well. Now this one adds to the list of stuff to watch, likely with your general counsel if you're on the vendor side, and also if you're a CISO and you've been compromised due to a security vendor. These cases now bring up a whole new ability to kind of reclaim the losses. And what I mean by that is, if you are able to use the indemnification in a contract and go after said vendor, then you really are able to negotiate better insurance rates, because what you're essentially saying is, we did our job, they didn't. We had no way of really knowing this, and so our insurance rates shouldn't be impacted by it. And Mr. Insurance Provider, you should sue them for what you paid us. So the cascading ransomware impact through managed backup infrastructure is a real risk and something you got to plan for. Sorry. And the way I would do that is I try to do a few things. One, I'd implement independent validation of vendor backup integrity and restoration capabilities. The other thing I'd be monitoring is cold backup and hot backups with two different vendors. And yes, that may kind of take away some of that may be a little bit more cost, but it does give you a bit more resiliency. And at the end of the game, that's what we're judged on, our resiliency. Cisco confirming a critical SD-WAN vulnerability has been exploited as a Zeroday since 2023. Before patching, the flaw allowed unauthorized access and remote code execution under certain configurations. SD-WAN systems often sit at the network perimeter, meaning compromise grants immediate lateral movement opportunities. The long exploitation window is what's alarming here for many of us. Again, let's kind of look at this one. This is CVE 2026-20127. We talked about this briefly yesterday on the show, but this one really kind of coming in here with CISA issuing an emergency directive 26-03, requiring federal civilian agencies to inventory Cisco SD-WAN systems, collect forensic artifacts, ensure external log storage, apply updates, investigate potential compromises tied to CVE 2026-20127 and CVE 2022-20775. Man, I haven't said that CVE in a few years. The risk here being extended unauthorized access across distributed enterprise and government branch networks. So as I just said, you want to conduct forensic audits of any SD-WAN logs dating back to the initial vulnerability exposure. And you want to work, if you're in critical infrastructure in one of those sectors, you may want to work with CISA and FBI on making sure you're threat hunting effectively in your environment. SolarWinds back in the news, this time patching 4 critical vulnerabilities in its Serv-U managed file transfer software. These flaws could allow remote code execution or even privileged escalation. FTP systems are high-value targets because they handle sensitive business documents and customer data exchanges. So let's go through these CVEs here. 2025 40538, 40541, Both of those have a CVSS score of 9 or 0.1, and CVE 2025-40540 type confusion flaws, along with 39er 40539er. Those are type confusion flaws that allow attackers to execute code with elevated privileges. Both of these have patches available, and the risk here for you is remote exploitation of externally exposed FTP systems. You should restrict Serv-U instances to private network access behind VPN gateways where possible and patch these up. We've talked a lot about AI this week, and there's no shortage of stories there. This one, again, including Claude. Researchers highlighted a case where Claude AI was exploited in a workflow scenario, manipulating outputs or even interacting in unintended ways. While not a core infrastructure breach, it does demonstrate how AI tools can be abused within enterprise environments if guardrails themselves are weak, with the risk being AI-generated output manipulation, leading to flawed decision-making or code injection. To mitigate the risk, you should establish policy control restricting AI output from being directly executed without any sort of human review. This one's significant, by the way, because the cybersecurity firm Gambit Security uncovered the breach, revealing how persistent prompting bypassed Claude's safety guards, right? And this was kind of part of it. They showed how they attacked high-value entities and exploited at least 20 vulnerabilities across federal and state systems in Mexico, including the Federal Tax Authority, the National Electoral Institute, state governments in Jalisco, Michoacan, and Tampanitos, and the Monterrey Water Utility. So all in, the prompts focused on common misconfigurations like unpatched web apps and weak authentication. Again, the more AI tools come out, the more we're going to see stories like this as well. We'll go back to China this time. China trying to play a victim. China reportedly initiating a domestic intellectual property theft crackdown. While this appears focused internally, it does come amid ongoing international criticism regarding Chinese cyber espionage. The move may be strategic positioning amid trade and diplomatic tensions with the West. The risk here being geopolitical posturing, masking continued cyber activity abroad, with the mitigation for multinational firms should be to maintain separate data governance controls for operations inside and outside of China, and trust nothing coming out of China, and validate everything going into China to make sure it's supposed to go in there as well. And again, they're saying that there were 232 cases just in the first 11 months of 2025 of this kind of intellectual property espionage. So a lot of Chinese folks are saying like, hey, I can sell state secrets and get out of communism. Why in the world wouldn't I do it? And they're doing it at scale. All right. This story caught my eye because it's a good one. Would you like to have a robot vacuum army? A new report is discussing the theoretical risk of compromise of IoT devices, including robot vacuums, but it's a real case scenario where a engineer by the name of Sami Azadufal reportedly used an AI coding assistant to reverse engineer how robots communicated with DJI's remote cloud servers. He then soon discovered that the same credentials that allowed him to see and control his own device also gave him access to live camera feeds, microphone audio, maps, and even status data from nearly 7,000 other vacuums across 24 different countries. The backend security bug effectively exposed an army of internet-connected robots that, in the wrong hands, could have turned into a surveillance tool, all without even their owners ever knowing, and all through a kind of unauthenticated API within the DJI system, there. And so, again, Chinese-made software, Chinese cheap crap. He wanted to control it with his PS5 controller. That's the only reason he did it. He wanted to control his vacuum with his PS5 controller, went through it, and lo and behold, he was able to control 7,000 robots. Spy, listen in, do the whole nine. Reporting it just shows you that no matter what, stuff coming out of there is significantly dangerous. All right. Let's wrap up this morning's show with some news around consolidation in the market. Security Week reporting 426 cybersecurity M&A deals were announced in 2025, reflecting massive consolidation in the sector. Vendors are racing to integrate AI, cloud security, and identity platforms into unified ecosystems. That's going into the article I have that will be free this Sunday. So if you try to go read it now and you're not a paid subscriber, you typically get one free article a year, so you can use it for this if you'd like. But if not, It'll be free for everyone else on Sunday morning at 8 a.m. and it'll be in your inbox if you're a subscriber. And if you're not, you can go read it, but you should subscribe. You'll definitely get it first. Feature, product, or platform. I didn't plan this, but here it is, right? So again, they're reporting around 426. That's kind of not the peak. For 2022 was the year of peak that we had 450, and 2021 had 430. But you're seeing this number, and again, this is the global dynamics coming into it. 300 of the 426 were from the United States. That's 299. So take one away from me there. The UK had 64, and the state of Israel had 34 of these M&A deals happening, with obviously Wiz being kind of the flagship, 32 billion. The financial details that were disclosed for 74 deals did total nearly $92.5 billion. This includes 63 deals involving pure play cybersecurity companies, which a total disclosed value of 84 billion. And again, 32 billion coming from there, 32 billion for Wiz, 25 billion for CyberArk, 3.3 billion for Chronosphere, 7.7 billion for Armis, Visa at 1 billion, Jamf at 2.2 billion, Veeam acquiring Security AI at 1.7 billion, Proofpoint acquiring Hornet at 1.8 billion. Again, kind of just showing you these numbers and the play for that as well. In other news, friends of the show here, Astelia, coming out of stealth, 35 million raised to kind of go after the vulnerability management space. Congratulations to Alon, Nadav, and Roy and team over there, backed by Index Ventures and Teammate. Go get them. And our final story here, by the way, coming out of Power School and the Chicago Public Schools reaching a proposed settlement following the data breach related litigation. The education systems continues to face legal fallout after exposing student and staff data. The case reinforcing how the breach impact extends beyond technical remediation. A $17 million settlement between Chicago Public Schools to settle it. I wonder how much of that is going to go to the actual unions and how much of that will actually change the lives of the students who attend one of the worst school districts in the state, in the country. But nonetheless, the city of Chicago has one of the worst school districts. So I hope that money goes to the students and not the teachers' unions, to help the students actually get better education. That's it for our show this morning. Please make sure to subscribe at cyberhubpodcast.com. Follow us, share, like, comment. Let me know what you think of these stories and so much more. And if you always have any story tips or stuff you want to see us talk about or cover on the show, please let me know by either contacting us through LinkedIn or at cyberhubpodcast.com. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.